Hey folks, welcome back to Skyward Sword. We're here in the Skyview Temple and we are at the mini-boss. And this mini-boss demonstrates, kind of unfortunately, what a lot of the sword play in Skyward Sword comes down to. Your enemies pose a certain way, you strike a different way, and you win. It's the worst example, but it's kind of true. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're still kind of unsure about the controls and you're panicking, that can be an intense boss fight. But as soon as you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy. And say hello to the best item in the game. This is the Beetle. I will be calling him Mr. Bug because that's his name. The Beetle, you probably saw him in the promotional trailers and E3 trailer and all that. Basically, launches off of your arm, goes flying around, and has Beetle adventures, and it's so cool. The idea actually came from giant mecha anime, because giant robots would shoot rocket fists, and while that style didn't really jive with Zelda, the idea evolved into Mr. Bug, and it is so good. It's the best item. You have no idea how much fun this is. Anyway, Mr. Bug can go on reconnaissance, he can cut webs, he can grab rupees and various other items. I like to use him just as a scout, you know? Like, he can go investigate the rooms, maybe see a solution to a puzzle that you wouldn't be able to see from your vantage point. Just playing through the game the first time, I used Mr. Bug all the time to look around, and it was really useful. Anyway, I think that's really clever. This room and the main hub room are actually the same room. So connecting the two with that Mr. Bug puzzle, I think that was really neat. Anyway, let's talk about this hub room. As you can see, it's a lot more yellow than the rest of the dungeon was. Very drastic, like, color change. A good way of distinguishing, okay, this is the second part of the dungeon. You figured things out, now let's have some fun. Also, Mr. Bug is the best way to take care of Dekubabas, especially ceiling-based ones. Now this hub room, again, like the first one, you really only use one exit at a time. You won't have multiple choices, you won't have... it's linear. But you know what, I don't care, because we just got a Mr. Bug, so yeah. Anyway, looky up there, see your passage. You can bet that'll be relevant. And there's a chest. What is the chest? Oh god. So yeah, spiders on the ground. A lot easier to take care of. Just swipe up, and then you can do a down stab on them. Very useful. So yeah, we gotta get that chest. How are we gonna get that chest? Well, we're gonna have a block pushing puzzle, of course, because it's a Zelda game. I have no idea how a web was holding up that block. It looks pretty heavy. Sounds pretty heavy. Anyways, you might be able to see there are eyes surrounding that locked chamber there. So we will need to figure out a vantage point where we can get all of the eyes looking at us. There are 3 this time. And so basically you gotta find the perfect place to put the block so that all 3 of them will see you. And it's a little bit trial and error, honestly. It can be hard to judge exactly where the middle is. It's not perfect. It's not easy to figure out exactly how far away you need to be. But you'll get it eventually, and you're not in any danger. And another key. And now we need to get back, but if you remember the layout of the room that we just went through, that's easier said than done. Basically, we need to send Mr. Bug through here on a reconnaissance mission to hit that switch, because basically the level geometry will not allow us to go back the way we came. So instead, we have to raise the water level. I do like that they have dilapidated terrain as a puzzled element. You know, if this were in its prime, it would be in perfect working condition and you can go either way, but such is not the case. Oh, I wanted to get the rupee from there. Anyway, through this crawl space and back into the hub room. And that's kind of how a lot of hub rooms operate in this game. So it's a little out and back. You fetch something from one little side path and then bring it to another little side path, rather than having any long interconnecting passages. Anyway, I want to knock down that grate. I want to knock it down. Mr. Bug doesn't have a great turning radius, unfortunately. But it was worth it. Because, oh my god, look at all those rupees. That is what? 66 rupees in there? It's ridiculous. I am out of room in my wallet. Anyway, that is somewhere else where we need to go. Hello, heart piece. That's a snide. Well, it's actually not that snide. Because if you're doing things right, you will come out and see that heart piece and you'll be like, oh, a heart piece. Okay. Anyway, Mr. Bug on reconnaissance once again. And you know, I'm not really sure how I feel about hiding heart pieces in dungeons. Twilight Princess did it a bit. I didn't really like it then. I feel like heart pieces should be something used to populate the overworld, rather than the dungeons. Dungeons have heart containers. But oh well. Here's our place to use our key, and also a place to use Mr. Bug. You have no idea how satisfying it is to just go like... Anyway, yeah, if you try to cross that tightrope without having eliminated the Babas, you will not have a fun time. And here we have these weird Hydra enemies. Parry them and then slash horizontally to kill all their heads, or when they're rearing up to attack, you can slash diagonally whichever way they're rearing up and kill all their heads. If you don't destroy all the heads, then unfortunately you will not kill it and they will grow back like a Hydra would presumably do. And it can be a little finicky. Sometimes it won't destroy the last head for no good reason, but they're not too threatening. Again, learning to parry is your best friend in basically destroying all the enemies. Screw you, spider. Don't need you. Yes, and here is that that barred little passageway that I mentioned earlier, that we saw earlier even. And if you didn't happen to see the heart piece earlier, you would go through this doorway and see it, and all would be hunky-dory, and you wouldn't miss it. Anyway, tightrope, monsters and enemies, and they won't actually go after you and start crossing the tightrope until you're already a fair ways across. So jostling really is your best bet here. Even if you stun them with a slingshot beforehand, they probably... Oh god, there's one from behind. If you stun him with the slingshot from beforehand, he will become unstunned before you can make it all the way across. And I think I'm just bad at jostling is the thing. I don't know. It's pretty vague which way you're supposed to do things. Which way you're supposed to swing them around. Yeah, screw you, bud. And you see that door over there? That is, as you might expect, the boss door. Usually you can expect a very large, elaborate door to hide the boss. And if you look at the map, that is probably, you know, it's the last room of the dungeon, and pretty easy to figure out, yeah. Really didn't need that. It's large and elaborate. You can bet that it's relevant. Anyway, Rupee's in there. I'm not gonna grab him because my wallet is full. This doesn't have the Twilight Princess thing where you put rupees back in a chest if you don't have room for them. Enough people complain because they're OCD and want all the chests open. Anyway, swinging on ropes. I personally actually found this little sequence kind of difficult. Like, I would jump at just the wrong angle and miss the rope, or the rope wouldn't quite send me far enough. I don't know, I've fallen into this pit many times. And I never really get better at it. Woo. You know, Mr. Bug could knock those guys down, but Slingshot's quicker. And yeah, you notice there that the Slingshot has an arc to its shots. Sometimes you'll have to account for it. Generally you won't. It's not too much of an issue, but, you know, once in a while in puzzle situations. And see, what did I do wrong there? I think maybe I let go of the rope at the wrong time. Something I remember from Wind Waker is that jumping off at the peak of height isn't actually the best idea. But I am not familiar enough with rope physics or physics in general to actually give a valid explanation. But no, I jumped at the peak there, so whatever, I don't know. I'll never get used to it. And large elaborate white chest gives us the golden carving. And viewed from the right angle, you can see that it's the same shape as that hole on the door. And that is indeed a mechanic. Now just gotta move a seed on over here. Cross the tightrope once more because once was not enough. And we are making our way to the boss. I don't feel that it's a spoiler to say that there's a boss in the dungeon, because dungeons are essentially levels. They were even called that in the first game. And generally there are bosses at the end of levels. So yeah, boss key mechanics, basically, you have to rotate the 3D object to go into the lock properly. And I think that's actually pretty fun. One last, very creative kind of puzzle. And of course it makes use of motion controls. Who is this fabulous man? Yes, indeed you do. It's the guy we saw at the end of episode 5. He's clearly been watching us. Now you can probably tell by his music that he's a bad guy. And I'll just say right now, he's a bad guy for most of the game. And basically he was designed by the same guy who designed Vati, the villain from the Four Swords and Minish Cap games. So that's why he kind of resembles Vati, although there's no actual in-series connection between the two. But also he was designed very effeminately to contrast with the main villain of the series, Ganondorf. Because Ganondorf is a very burly, strong man, and also he's black. So this guy is very effeminate and white. Conspiracy theorists also noted before the game was released that his diamond pattern is very similar to the pattern of the Gilded Sword, the best sword in Majora's Mask, which is like kind of the parallel version of the Master Sword, which we haven't really discussed in this game, but if you're familiar with the series, you know the Master Sword. Basically, Word of God says that's just, that's epileptic trees. But I don't really care about any of that, because this dude is the best villain ever. And you're about to see why. Yes. Yes. He enjoys screwing with Link so much. He takes such a pleasure in it. Like, he's angry and he's villainous, but he loves it so much. Anyway, Demon Lord Ghirahim is basically here to teach you how to fight properly. Because if you just swing wildly at him, he will block all your attacks. And even do worse to you, actually. As I'm demonstrating here. I am purposely doing poorly to show you what goes wrong, and yet I'm still managing to land a few hits on him. But yeah, swing wildly at him, and he will steal your sword. He tells you, don't telegraph your attacks. Now, what exactly does that mean, not telegraphing your attacks? Well, basically, it means hold your sword to one side, and then swing further to that side. And it's not actually necessarily intuitive, because this game really touts one-to-one motion controls, like it's supposed to do exactly what you're doing. But you can hold your sword off to the right, and then move the Wiimote sharply to the right, and Link will do a swing all the way rightwards that Ghirahim will not expect, so he won't be able to block it. It's both a little awkward to control and unintuitive, and sometimes it just doesn't really work because you'll unconsciously start doing a wind-up before you want to swing. So you'll end up accidentally swinging the way that you would normally. And that's why I'm kind of still struggling with him. But overall, he's not a very offensive-based boss. He won't attack you a whole lot. Up until here. Yeah, he has his own sword. You saw it earlier. You shouldn't be surprised. What's wrong with you? Anyway, you can do this. And basically what you want to do there is parry it, because parrying is the best. And actually, the timing for parrying is fairly generous, but that attack is a little bit confusing. You're not entirely sure when he's going to stop. By the way, knock those back at him. And yeah, when he like teleports right next to you and poses, I love doing the swing attack, or spin attack rather. You could just slash at him, but spin attack is so stylish, I just don't care. But yeah, I actually find this part of the fight easier, just because he'll stop blocking your attack so much. Overall, this is actually a pretty hard first boss, but once you figure him out and go back to him, he's not too much of a problem. And somehow defeating him summons a heart container. Heart containers got a little redesign in this game, but basically heart containers will give you one extra complete heart, the equivalent of 4 heart pieces. It's your way of extending your life bar. And if you're a boss, you don't collect them. You just go with the minimum hearts the whole way. I would have done that, but this is 100%. I wanted to show everything off. And here we are at the little sacred fountain here. Well, Zelda isn't here anymore, but it's still a very nice place to look at. There are rupees on that column. There are rupees. Did you see that? There are rupees. So yes, the Skyview Spring. I don't know if I ever mentioned it. I don't think I did. That little wing symbol is actually the bottom part of the Hyrule royal family's royal crest, but it's missing something. And after that cutscene, she pops right back out again to tell you exactly what she just said in different words. Why? I don't know. But regardless, we know where our next destination is. Skyloft, we gotta return, put that tablet in, then we'll be heading to Eldin. And that takes care of that, and I will see you guys next time.